Do you know the story of a man who turned a city's darkest hour into his empire? When the law tried to choke Chicago dry, one man quenched its thirst and carved his name into history. Al Capone. Part 1. The Dawn of Crime Prohibition and the Rise of Al Capone. In 1920, America entered one of the most turbulent periods in its history, the Prohibition era. Laws banned the production, sale, and consumption of alcohol entirely. However, instead of eliminating crime, this ban fueled an age of crime dominance. And amid this setting, a name began to rise: Al Capone. Part 2. From streets to power: the early life of Al Capone. Born in Brooklyn, New York in 1899 to a poor Italian immigrant family, Al Ponce Gabriel Capone, known as Al Capone, endured hardship early on. From a child who faced bullying and discrimination, Capone turned to street gangs to find a sense of security and power. This was the beginning of a dark legend. Part 3. A mentor in crime meeting Johnny Torrio. Capone quickly caught the eye of Johnny Torrio, a notorious crime boss who saw great potential in him. Torrio taught Capone the ropes, from bribing the police to strategic moves for dominating the black market. This was a perfect blend of strength and cunning that would soon define a criminal empire. Part 4. The empire of vice. Capone controls Chicago. When Prohibition was enforced, Al Capone saw it not as a challenge, but as a golden opportunity. Using his intelligence and strength, Capone took control of the entire underground alcohol trade in Chicago. He didn't just earn millions from bootlegging, but also expanded his empire to gambling and prostitution. Chicago was no longer a city of law, but one of Al Capone's rule. Part 5. The Bloody Day St. Valentine's Day Massacre. On the morning of February 14, 1929, an incident shocked the entire nation. Al Capone sent a team of hitmen disguised as police officers to execute a brutal massacre against the gang of George Bugs Morin. 6 members of Morin's gang were shot dead on the spot. Although Capone was never formally charged, all fingers pointed to him, a mark of his unmatched brutality. Part 6. King of the underworld. Capone's extravagant lifestyle. Al Capone wasn't just a crime boss. He became a symbol of power and opulence. With the money he made from his empire, Capone didn't hesitate to spend lavishly on parties, high-end fashion, and luxurious cars. He even became a public figure, drawing not only admiration, but also hatred from many. Part 7. The fall of a legend. Capone's arrest and conviction. Narration. Despite his infamous criminal deeds, Al Capone was not convicted for murder or bootlegging, but rather tax evasion. After years of pursuit, the government finally found a way to charge Capone and sentenced him to 11 years in prison. The mighty crime lord, a symbol of unrestrained power, was ultimately brought down by the law. Part 8. The final chapter. Capone's last years in Alcatraz. In his final years, Al Capone lived alone in prison and eventually died from illness. Nevertheless, he left behind an undeniable legacy in American history, becoming a symbol of the mafia era and of the ruthlessness and wealth that came with the criminal underworld. Al Capone, a criminal or a legend? Part 9. Legacy of an era. The shadow of Al Capone. Al Capone may have left this world, but the stories about him remain. He was a product of the Prohibition era, leaving a complex legacy in American history. One question lingers: was he simply a criminal or a product of a dark time? Al Capone's story is a reminder of how one man's ambition can shape history, even through the darkest paths. If you enjoyed exploring this incredible chapter of the past, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. There's so much more history to uncover, and your support helps us bring it to life. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more stories from the shadows of history.